In this week's brand new episode of Hill Climb Monsters in Project Cars 2, the mighty Renault Megane V6 Trophy takes on our brutal Azure Coast hill climb course. And with 400 brake horsepower to play with, can this feisty Frenchie maybe get in the mix at the top of the leaderboards? Let's go find out. What's going on, guys? My name's Martinio and welcome back to Project Cars 2, and finally, after a long hiatus, a brand new episode of Hill Climb Monsters. And like I said, it's been a while. I've got an idea about how I want to finish this series off and sort of bring it to a very nice and hopefully successful conclusion, because I've really enjoyed doing this series. So I've been wanting to get back to it. Apologies, it's been so long since I've done one of these episodes. I know a lot of you did enjoy these, but we're back now, and we're back with a brand new challenger. And this time out, it is the Renault Megane V6 Trophy, which you can see on screen. And the reason I chose this car was it was the bane of my life in the first Project Cars game. I just could not get to grips with it. I couldn't keep it under control. It was just so annoying. So I was determined to basically pin it down and make it submit to me. And I was going to make it submit to me around what I think is probably the toughest course in the game, the Azure Coast hill climb. And yeah, so that's the reason I went for this car this week. But let's jump into the video proper by doing what we always used to do, and what we're going to do again is take a look at some of the stats. So, produced in 2009, this of course falls into the touring car category. It has a separate sort of V6 Megane Trophy category, but it is within the touring car class. It is a rear-engine, rear-wheel drive car with a 6-speed sequential gearbox, bolted to a V6 engine producing 400 brake horsepower. That would propel it to 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds at a top speed of 165 miles an hour. It doesn't have any traction, stability or ABS, none of that nonsense. Control difficulty and cornering speed are both set at 2 there. So yeah, fairly impressive, I would say. Quite an old car considering it's like 10 years old now. Just where does the time go? Yeah, and like I said, it was I just could not get to grips with this car in the first Project Cars game. Just hated driving it, so I just didn't really. But getting back into it, and it was still a little bit of a diva. In terms of the setup work I had to do, the majority of it sort of was focused at the rear of the car. The front end was fine. It was you know, relatively pointy. It was, you know, relatively well behaved. It got the nose in fairly well. Hint of understeer here and there, and I did my best to sort of dial that out, softening things up, moving things around, and so on. But the rear of the car was where my main focus was, and I didn't get it exactly where I wanted it, but I got it to a point where I knew I could go and push it and drive it, and hopefully get a decent time on the leaderboards. We're going to get to the leaderboards in a minute, but yeah, unfortunately, just being out of practice with these, I didn't record any of my crashes. I did bin it a few times. Usual suspects, Magic Roundabout was one. Stickman Squats was another one. Yeah, so I've had, for those of you who may be new to this series, I have named all of the corners around the Azure Coast, and you'll see them when we go on the run. But yeah, I didn't get any of the accidents that happened, but there were a fair few of them. Like I said, it's still a bit of a tricky car to drive, and just trying to find the groove and trying to find the limit with this was a challenge. Not as much of a challenge as I remember, oddly enough. Maybe I've got better as a driver, who knows? But yeah, it was a little bit of a challenge. So let's take a look at the leaderboards now, and our current best time on the board is in the Ford Falcon V8 Supercar, a 6:32.209, which has us in 3rd place on the leaderboards. I don't think we're going to be able to beat that, just purely because I know how fast the V8 Supercar is. It is absolutely incredible how quick that car is. In terms of the fastest Megane Trophy time, you have to go down to page number 2, and position number 14. Schlapp Fox with a 7:01.528. So I'm going to say that's the time we need to beat. In terms of the leaderboards, if we can go and beat that time, I'll be happy. In terms of the Hill Climb Monsters leaderboards, again, I don't think we're going to get anywhere close to the Ford Falcon, but if we can get onto the second page or the top 20 of our Hill Climb Monsters leaderboards, I'll be happy. There's not really much for us to go up against, barring the Ford Falcon. So yeah, it's just going to be about sort of aiming for time and position. So if we can get into the top 20 on the Hill Climb Monsters leaderboards and beat the 7:01.528 that Schlapp Fox put up for the fastest Megane Trophy time, I think I'll be pretty happy with it. But what we're going to do now is we're going to head down to the track and we're going to see how the Renault Megane got on its best run. Okay then guys, here we go. Renault Megane V6 Trophy on our Azure Coast hill climb course, and as we head down to turn number 1, beautiful noise coming from that V6 engine that's set right behind us. Going through booty curve, pretty good. Again, it starts to drift a little bit, but we make it through and onto the center S as we go. Again, it feels pretty good, this car. It's just the rear end is still a little bit too twitchy. I didn't quite dial it out as much as I wanted to. As we come through cruise liner corner though, and down towards trash can corner, again you're going to see a snap of oversteer as we get on the power there. Just have to counter steer. Not a massive bother, but it did probably lose us a little bit of time there as we head down the hill towards everyone's favourite accident black spot, the Magic Roundabout. We're going to take a decent amount of speed through there, between 115 and 110 miles an hour. They get a little bit of counter steer on the exit as well as we head up to stickman squats. And this first part of it was the toughest part, purely because the rear end just felt a little bit, it still felt a little bit twitchy. I did as much as I can to try and dial it out, but you know, it's such as the nature of these this series is, where I only get 2 hours of setup time and an hour of timed runs. If I had a bit more time, I think I could have probably dialed it out a little bit better. It's okay at the moment, but there's still a little bit more work to do. But as we head down the Happy Highway, the longest straight on the course, going to get up to about 155 miles an hour. Obviously we're not going to reach top speed purely because we've had to add a bit of wing here and there, but through traffic cone corner, no real bother there. Some cars can get caught out by it, and over the jumps, this thing is very, very good when it gets airborne. It didn't really get airborne there, but you'll see as we go along on the run, it is very, very good in the air. And dropping it down to 3rd gear just to get it through sort of the back end of Stonewall corner. Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's a good car, but it feels a little bit. It just feels a little bit twitchy, and I didn't really get the chance to dial that out, and it makes you hesitant and you start driving within yourself a little bit. I think I could have maybe plucked a bit more time out of the car, if I'm being honest with you, but again, it's just sort of balancing risk and reward around here. You know, you can push it, but then you can completely totally run within the last 2-3 quarters basically. But yeah, moving on, and again, it's still get a little bit tricky through there. Sort of fast change of direction do seem to trip it up a little bit. That's probably coming down to the fact I didn't quite dial out the oversteer and the snappy nature had in the rear of the car. But onto Captain Slow corner, slowest corner on the course, named after James May, the slowest man on the planet. And we make it through there, coming down towards the back end of the first sector, and we're doing okay. It's by far and away our best run, obviously, but we're still quite a ways off the V8 supercar time, so I think that pretty much scuppers any chance of ever getting close to it, because the difference between the two, it's a good 13 seconds through the first split, so it just tells you how fast that V8 supercar really is. Went over a 2 3/4 minute sort of first sector with 13 seconds down. But onto Fraggle Rock corner now, again getting the nose in, and again, pretty good through there, not too bad. Again, do the faster stuff is okay. You just got to keep the momentum up. If you start losing that momentum, that's when it starts to have that sort of snappy nature, sort of the back end of the mid corner and the exit as well. But onto bridge corner now, getting the nose in nice and early. Again, just having to be a little bit hesitant on the exit. Don't want to clip those bollards, which can ruin anyone's afternoon. And up towards the Montgomery Hill complex now. Get a little bit wide, having to be a little bit hesitant on the power. Don't want to drop it on the grass there, but through here, through these jumps, this is where it was fairly good actually. A little bit too deep here, as you see, but yeah, over the jumps it was fairly good. So it's got a really nice balance to it in terms of weight distribution. You can always tell which ones are sort of front heavy or back heavy when you come to this section, because you'll get times where you're going completely nose up, or the nose will pitch downwards and probably pitch you into a fairly sizable accident at the same time. But this very, very well balanced front to back, so we're not going to have any problems over these jumps as we come down the first of the over the first of the humps on the camel straight and onto the second one. Again, very, very good through here as we come through Mirage number 1. Again, a little bit tricky on the exit, but Mirage 2, again, still fairly straightforward, but again, we just have to be a little bit careful on the power application. This thing sort of on exit it's not just oversteer, but you do occasionally get a little bit of understeer as well, which can trip you up, especially when it, you know, when you've got sort of narrow exits like that where you've just got a wall on the outside and no grass or runoff area to escape into. But onto sort of the back end of sector number 1, and again over these jumps, very good, very planted, don't really have to sort of hesitate over them, which is good. And again, as we come through the tunnel and onto the Great Ocean Highway, you're going to see how good this thing is in the fast corners. Normally I'm having to hesitate, I'm pretty much flat, just ever so slight lift, and then we're back on it again through there and to the end of sector number 2 now, and onto the final sector. And again, this was it was pretty good through here for the most part. Again, because it's sort of fast sweeping corners with a little bit of banking, a little bit of camber to them, that is definitely going to help the car just sort of stay in check a little bit. But there were a nervy moment here and there, like there where I tagged the barrier. Didn't mean to, but a little bit surprised it actually didn't invalidate the lap. But over here, fine. Again, sort of undulation and jumps and so on. It's got a good balance. It's just a little bit snappy on the exit corners, and sometimes you do get a little bit of understeer as well, which we might see a little bit further on down the lap. But through deception, we make it through there A-OK, which is good. That can catch anybody out really. And onto sweeps now, sort of I have to say my favourite part of the course itself. But coming through here on the exit, you see a little bit of understeer. This quarters out there, we clang the barrier. But again, I don't think it cost us that much time, maybe half a tenth or so. But again, we're not really going to get close to the V8 supercar time, so it's just trying to get past that 7:01 time, that currently the fastest Megane V6 trophy time on the board. But on to Rocky Road now, the final section of the course. Again, just having to be a little bit careful through here. For the most part, we were planted and flat. Again, through this corner, mostly it catches out cars that have got understeer. This has a hint of it through certain corners, but through here, no bother. Get it down to third gear for the final corner. Get the nose in, get the power on. Not the greatest final corner, but we make it through and across the line. And it's going to be a time of 6 minutes 55.892. So we've beaten the best time. We've beaten the time we set out to beat, that 7:01 point. Oh god, I can't remember now. Where is it? 7:01.528. So we've done it by about nearly 4.5 seconds. Oh, sorry, 4.5, 5 seconds there. So really good time. There is still a bit more time to take out of this thing, but overall I would say I am very happy with that time, considering just considering how fast the V8 supercar is. Even if we had have got on the leaderboard, we would have just been in 14th. We didn't get a time fast enough to maybe pop us up into the top page of the leaderboards there. So it would have been 14th if the time had us stuck on the leaderboards. And in terms of our Hill Climb Monsters leaderboard, it goes into onto page number 3 and position number 24, just behind the Porsche 93577 there, and ahead of the Nissan Skyline Silhouette from a few weeks ago as well. But yeah, so there we go, guys. The Renault Megane V6 Trophy, it goes 24th on our leaderboards with that 6:55.892. But yeah, pretty good car overall. Needs a bit more work. I think there's still a bit more time to find within, in the run itself. I think I can definitely I think I could probably get a 53, maybe a 52 there if I really nailed it. But yeah, at the moment I'm still happy with the time, but overall really fun car to drive. A little bit tricky, a little bit daunting, but don't know how to put you off. Go and do a bit of setup work and I'm sure you'll be fine. I recommend you give this car a try. But yeah, that's pretty much the end of today's episode, guys. So thank you everybody so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you would like to see more Project Cars 2 or Hill Climb Monsters content from myself, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. And if you do subscribe, be sure to hit that bell notification button as well, so you get updates for all of my new videos whenever they go live. And if you have suggestions for cars you'd like to see take part or participate in this series, then don't be afraid to drop a comment down below. It's always happy to hear from you. I've done a number of subscriber suggestions throughout the course of this series, and I'm open to doing more. So if you have a suggestion, drop a comment down below, guys. But once again, thank you everybody so much for watching. Stay cool, and as always, I will catch you in the next video. Peace.